Hello YouTube, this is Nite Misfortune bringing you yet another replay from the Supreme Commander 2 game. Welcome to the first non-live cast of the Serpents Open Fall 2020 tournament. We had an amazing tournament. Before we get into this replay, I wanted to thank each and every one of these players again for participating in that, and I do want to recognize somebody who helped us reach 32 players in this tournament. I think without his help it wouldn't have been possible. Of course, Jwix, thank you so much. I know you've contributed at least 10 people. I don't know the exact count, but that was simply wonderful, and it was wonderful to see most of the players show up to play. We had so many great games. Of course, not everything that not every game will be cast like this afterwards. The group stages are already up on my channel, and that's all you're gonna see from the group stages, from me at least. And I will be casting every single knockout stage from day 2. So this is the beginning of day 2. We have what would this be? A round of 16 match between Fortuna and Jarek. And Fortuna, of course, we know very well from the leagues, from other tournaments. You know, he's our invitational finalist. So, you know he is a good player, pretty consistent, and we've seen him a lot before. Nothing to say, but Jarek, on the other hand, I actually did not know who Jarek was. But somebody told me that he used to be MM, so it will be interesting to see how he performs going up against a player who plays very, very regularly. Of course, there will be no spoilers. I know who wins this match. I know who wins individual maps, but of course I will not spoil anything. I'm just here to commentate for you guys, for your enjoyment. If you guys do enjoy this replay, please do give me a like on the bottom of this video. Apologies for that if you've heard it. And do leave me a comment. I really appreciate comments even more than likes in some cases. And of course, the ultimate honor if you could hit that subscribe button. That will always help me. And yeah, and if you want to support me, check out my Patreon page. Of course, I'm still in the process of deciding if I'm going to be holding the SCS next year, but a big part of it is the prize pool. I think without going on a tangent, but just today I saw a post in one of the Discords that, they have this crazy 2,200 prize pool in Forged Alliance Forever. You guys know that I'm a solid believer that Subcom 2 is better than Forged Alliance Forever. But that was all donated by the players. So we have a smaller community, but I think we can support the channel, or sorry, the competitive circuit, as well as my channel, of course. It's all about motivation for me and Steal Your Girl. So if you guys give us the motivation, and that comes through a smaller thing as a like on our video or a comment. So that's all I'm going to say. I actually didn't even plan to go into this tangent, so I apologize. But I just thought it was curious that I saw that this morning. And I think we can all do our part, especially because we have so many players starting to play, which brings me back to this tournament. 32 players, simply amazing. And I've started actually seeing some even older players around in the comment sections, online, and playing this game. So, it's great. So we'll see how this year ends and if the SCS continues into next year. But for now, let's get back to the Serpents Open Fall. Enough has been said. I'm paused at 5 seconds. I'm going to make game speed 3. Of course, this is Desolatia, which is a smaller map. But nevertheless, we're going to set it on 3. Unpausing in 3, 2, 1, go. And let's introduce our players. In the top left-hand corner of Desolatia, spawning in a blue color, it is Jarek with some alphas and looks like sigmas. I think that's a sigma sign. He is building 2 land factories, which is a pretty standard build. And as you guys have noticed from the bar up top, Jarek is random faction. And so he pulled Aeon in this case, and I believe his opponent is the dedicated Aeon commander, so he picked Aeon for the tournament. It is Fortuna, who is rushing with his ACU up front. Very, very interesting strategy here by Fortuna, and actually I think I've cast his game, one of his games on Desolatia. I think it was during the knockout stage. And I think he did the exact same strategy. Who was that game against? It was against somebody else who was a good player. But yeah, I can't. I'm blanking. That's another thing that we had in this tournament is a lot of old players came back to play. We had Explosive, Jarek, Shade, Slav come back. It was wonderful to see. So we see this very nice offensive play by Fortuna. He's building a point defense to protect it from, of course, those incoming tanks. But the problem is those missile launchers. However, they are walking straight into that PD fire. Oh, just out of range. Very interesting. And a shield goes on very quickly, and a supporting engineer joins the fray. There are some economy things being built in the back. The players are about equal, but of course I think Jarek has a nice advantage here. And I don't know about this strategy. I mean, obviously he has practiced this. Fortuna has practiced this. This reminds me a lot of what you see on Fields of Isis, rushing over here to the middle and start to build those static missile launchers. But the problem is it's so easy to bypass that and even like send a couple of MMLs down here. I think Jarek could be doing that, and that just wreaks havoc. This lonely ACU will just do so much work over here because there's nothing there but an engineer, which could build a point defense, but honestly, you know, that's a lot of resources invested. So I'm not a huge fan of this strategy by Fortuna, especially because he ends up being very weak on units to start out with, because most players build a double land factory, and you know that is difficult to counteract when you're down here. And maybe maybe Fortuna selected this build because he doesn't know who Jarek is. He doesn't know how good this player is. But even then, I mean, this is the knockout stage, so you should be selecting your builds, you know, more accurately. So if that is indeed the case, which I don't think necessarily it is, I just think this is a poor tactical decision. Let's see how the ACU is doing here. Oh my goodness, he actually captures the engineer. I totally missed this. It captures a mass extractor, captures a radar. Wow, that is kind of devastating. The only thing that's going for Fortuna is that he's doing damage with some of these factories. Unfortunately, I don't think they're targeting down any of the mass extractors, or maybe they are. They're just very slowly doing damage. Now, finally, the first factory goes down. That is quite a while, if we're totally being honest, considering how much effort he put into sending his units up here. And he's just allowing his opponent to capture his whole base, which is not good. And he was aware of this because he started building a point defense, so he should have prevented all of these captures. And Fortuna is actually in the red here. There's just way too many tanks from our blue player, but manages to escape. Interesting. Okay, all right, so Jarek did not target fire there enough to kill that, but unfortunately for Fortuna, he's still going to lose most of his tanks here. No, there just looks like there's a lot of mobile missile launchers there for our blue Aeon, and that's the only thing that's really keeping him from stomping over this position that Fortuna has put himself into. And now Fortuna is just out of mass because all of his factories, or no, sorry, mass extractors have been captured. He's going to try and bring his commander back. By the time he does so, there will be 3 factories here with shields on them, maybe even a point defense and a couple of tanks. And that is going to be it for that commander. This is looking very rough for Fortuna, so I'm going to speed it up to 5 here. He does manage to start attacking this mass extractor by Jarek. Plays beautifully, and control K's it, and look at this placement on the point defense, just leaving nothing up to chance. I'm gonna protect that point defense with double shield factory, and there's just simply way too much here for Fortuna to deal with. His ACU is in the red. All Jarek has to do is just go there and target fire a couple of shots, and he will have no trouble defeating this. And he is being a little bit indecisive. I'm just gonna speed this up. This game is 100% over. There's nothing Fortuna can do. There is no possibility of teleport at this point. There's no possibility of overcharge at this point. Well, I guess I can't say that. Teleport is a possibility, but unfortunately, he just won't do enough because he does not have enough tanks, and you do see him walk into that point defense again and end up going down in game 1. However, this is a best out of 3, so we'll be right back with map number 2. Don't go anywhere. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our second wintry map of the tournament. It's like almost like we're playing OSA or Serpents Open Winter all over again, but no, this is still Serpents Open Fall. We have our 2 players. Let's go ahead and introduce them very quickly. We have our blue Aeon commander who pulled Aeon again. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he didn't pull random, but then again, this thing is sometimes gives you the same faction, I guess. Going, well, obviously as Aeon again, going to build 1 land factory for now, but most likely going to either move up and build another one or just rush another one out of the gate. Fortuna is his opponent as our green Aeon, switching up the colors for me, so I'm gonna have to redo the overlay, but yeah, he's gonna green Aeon looks like he's gonna move up front, and I don't know what Fortuna's prep has been for this tournament. It seems like he wants to play this very aggressive style, but the problem is on Desolatia, I already told you what the problem on Desolatia was. The problem here is that if he's doing the same type of aggressive build, he's spending way too much time on these mass extractors here. If you are wanting to just pound your opponent's face in with your factories, setting up a base right outside their base, you really should be rushing your ACU. But the problem then is, again, you're going to be outproduced in the early game, which is very problematic, especially in a mirror match. I think that's very difficult to come back from, and which is why you don't really see this sort of strategy. While it is enjoyable to see something new from Fortuna in terms of build orders, you know, I think in order to make this work, you need to at least have 1 research station and 1 land factory. There is a really nice build that allows you to put down 1 research, 1 land, and then keep expanding actually forward. But of course, there's no. I always tell, I think in my replays, I always tell you that you want to have at least 2 key structures to start out with before you move your ACU from your starting position. Unless you're doing something very highly specific, you're wasting your resources and your time starting up in this way. And I don't know why this engineer is not doing anything. That's for sure should not be happening with a build order such as this. He has plenty of mass to expand, and he should be doing so, because the only thing that this sort of build really allows you to do is to expand very, very quickly. And unfortunately, Fortuna is just not doing that. So I don't know if he had a little bit of a bad day that Sunday, but this build already is not looking very good. There's already 5 tanks making their way over here, a third of tanks actually, with half a third behind. Come in there to support. So, you know, this is not looking great. Of course, Jarek is realizing that his opponent has no land units, and even if Fortuna was to build a point defense, which he might actually expect, which is another reason why he's choosing to send his tanks around, which is beautifully executed. And you see at this point, Jarek has the exact same amount of factories. Actually, he got his factories sooner. He has, I believe, 1 extra mass extractor. No, they're actually even on mass extractors at this point. But you see Jarek expanding quite nicely here and starting to flank his opponent. Even mobile missile launcher starting to come out. You see that solid play from Jarek, and it's evident that this guy is not some random newbie. He has totally deserved to be in this round of 16, and let's see if he can manage to pull this out, or rather close this out, and send himself to a quarterfinal. I do hope that in either case, though, he continues to play in future tournaments, because it's so wonderful to see old players. There was a point defense built here, which is nice. This build does allow you to do that sort of defensive play, which is nice. But again, this point defense is worth as much as these tanks. These tanks are probably a little bit more expensive, but you know, it's not the greatest, and you can just flank. If Jarek was a little bit more attentive, he could have maybe flanked around and caused some more havoc here. in the main base of our green player. Finally throws down that research station. And my question is, why not just start with this? You clearly have enough mass. If you were going to do this, then I think you should have just gone with it, and as your part of your opening build. Another point defense being thrown out, and when you see 2 point defenses being thrown out, that is a sign of an inefficient build order, because you are throwing down defensive structures. There should be very rare cases where you actually have enough resources as part of your opening build to afford yourself 2 point defenses. So we do see bada booms making their way out on the field. So we do see that teleport tech path that Fortuna is going to go and try and take. But I have no doubt his opponent is doing the same. Unfortunately, Jarek will not most likely manage to pick off this mass extractor, especially with this engineer coming to heal it. And he is going to lose his tanks. But Fortuna does reveal his bada booms in the process, because he was a little reckless to include it in that composition to go back. Doing a nice job at reclaiming here, but again, there's no expansion, and Jarek already has begun taking over this top left corner with 2 engineers. That is very nice, expanding from our blue Aeon player, building a 4th land factory. And I mean, if I had to guess, Fortuna is probably floating at this point, honestly, maybe close to 1,000 mass, if not more. If I had to guess. He clearly has enough to expand. He has enough to build research stations. If I had to guess, he's probably going to throw down another factory here pretty soon. But I'm confident that he's floating quite a bit of mass. Energy generators. He is 1 energy generator behind, actually, which that might actually be bottlenecking him. But he is affording research stations which are more energy heavy. I think there's 750 energy a pop, so he should be okay on resources, more than okay on resources, as I just stated. And you know, there is an advantage here for Fortuna. I think he is currently out teching his opponent here in the center. Let's actually speed this up to 2. Because he has more tanks, there's a lot of mobile missile launchers, and when you see this, you have to push. You're clearly out-teching your opponent, especially with these bada booms. You gotta engage here. I'm not sure why those missile launchers are making their way out when you are playing defensively, Fortuna. You have to engage this army, take your ACU back, and he's just very, very hesitant to engage this army, which is very unfortunate. Do I see Shadjas making their way out on the field? Let's slow this down really quick. I thought I saw some Shadja shots. No, it doesn't look like there is. I thought I heard a Shadja. But no, I think Fortuna will probably be looking to tech to teleport as soon as possible. The problem is he is not getting this Aeon spam that you typically get when you go teleport. So he's built just way too many research stations. Again, this research stations you should build is general advice when you're going land after 5 land factories, and if you're going air after, I believe, 4 land or air factories. So just a little too soon. And again, I think it's the opening builds by Fortuna. Of course, this tournament isn't very consequential for him, because as even before the tournament, he did qualify for the Invitational. So maybe he doesn't want to reveal his actual builds and trying to really just test something new. So I'm hoping that that is actually the case. But the longer this game goes, the more favorable this is actually for Jarek, because he's starting to outproduce him or his opponent here. And when you outproduce your opponent, really the teleport and the tech doesn't matter in general, because numbers generally in Supreme Commander 2 win out over tech. And generally speaking, there is of course some tech that if your opponent picks poor tech choices himself or tactical choices, of course they do give you advantage. We do see shields from both players, so actually Fortuna decides to go back and to get another tech from a different route to go to teleport, so that's a little inefficient if that's what he was trying to do. So I'm just really confused what his plan was going into this game. It honestly looks like just a random build that he threw together in this game too. And again, I don't think he knew who Jarek was. And whoever he played, who I casted in... Oh, Explosive. That's right. Explosive was another player that he played that was an old pro that came back, and I just got the feeling... of course, I think... Did he lose? No, he actually won, but he was very close to losing both those games, and I think Explosive just under-executed some micro, I think, from what I recall. But same thing there. I don't think his builds were very well prepared. It looks like he is having some success here in the center, but the problem is he can't push again. He just does not have the numbers. By the time he gets to his opponent's base, his blob will be outnumbered. Even if he does manage to somehow pick off all of these units, and unfortunately, he does have a lot of stars. So again, I am at a loss of what he's trying to do here. He's trying to build a lot of land factories, but the problem at this point is that he's getting outflanked now. There's beautiful mobile missile launcher flanking here against those point defenses there. And Jarek is just, I think, keeping his opponent busy here in the center. I'm going to speed this up to 3 because I think all he has to do at this point, because of this weird tech pattern that Fortuna has gone, there isn't really anything left to chance here. I think Jarek can just slowly but surely whittle down his opponent, which is the advantage of having these mobile missile launchers. Mobile missile launcher, I think, is the nastiest unit in Supreme Commander 2, because if you just position your blob outside your opponent's base, and that's why position is so important in Supreme Commander 2, you can't let your opponent's mobile missile launchers be in range of your structures, because it's just so easy to micro if you're a good player. And you're, especially if you have P-shields or adapters, something nasty like that, it is just so easy to just park yourself outside of the base and slowly whittle down these factories, which is exactly what Jarek is doing. Of course, at this point, he doesn't even have to do it slowly because he's just completely rolling over his opponent here and picking off 3 land factories, 4 land factories, and that blob of tanks is not doing anything. There's a point defense there, but yeah, point defenses don't do anything past the mid game, especially with this many shields. So that is... Oh, somehow Fortuna managed... So you just see how much mass he was floating. He was able to throw 3 land factories in the same amount of time that, you know, that I was talking about this whole engagement. So that was very, very quick, I think. Fortuna does end up going down, which means Jarek has taken the series 2-0 and moves on to the quarterfinal. Again, this will be... I will be casting all of the... or most of the games, because some of them have been live cast, so those will be uploaded in their original format, which I believe the next game will be Iron Commander versus Osmos. That's round of 16, game number 2. So that is what is going to be uploaded. Again, there will be no spoilers whatsoever, obviously, because that's a live cast. But in any of these videos, and if you do enjoy these videos, again, please do give it a like and a comment, and maybe share it with a friend. And that always helps as well. So thank you very much, everybody, again, for watching. And I really, really hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.